Hi, and welcome to the Small Business Heroes Show, where we talk about everything to help your small business grow and prosper. I'm your host, Scott Treverton, and today I'm talking to Peter Moriarty. Now, Peter Moriarty is the CEO of IT Genius Australia. Peter started IT consulting at the age of 15 with a backpack and a push bike in rural Sydney. Since then, he has pursued his passion for technology and growing IT Genius Australia into a full-service IT consultancy, servicing businesses up to 200 employees across Australia and beyond. Peter is regarded as an expert in small business cloud computing, and he's been ranked as one of Australia's top 10 entrepreneurs under 30 by Smart Company and Australian Anthill publications. Welcome to the show, Peter Moriarty.
Scott, thank you so much for having me. I am really glad to be here.
Peter, I've just told the audience a little bit about who you are. Just tell us a little bit about what you're up to.
Sure. Well, our business is IT Genius, and we help small businesses unstuck their IT. And so what that means is traditionally, typically, we're coming into a small business and they're probably doing IT the old way. They've got small business service corner, or maybe using Microsoft technology that they're locked into and isn't very flexible, and we help show them the wonderful world of Google. We're a Google partner. We're now one of Google's top partners in Asia Pacific, which is pretty cool. But primarily, we're helping businesses work from anywhere, on any device, at any time. And so we're helping free their files from the office, so they're not using crappy VPNs and remote desktop connections and emailing files back and forward to each other. We're helping business owners liberate themselves so they can get work done wherever they are most productive.
How's the face of that sort of IT consultancy changed over the last 2 or 3 years? Is it been dramatic change, or is it a complete change to the way that you're doing business?
Oh, it's very interesting. The typical IT support guy, the old school IT support guy from down the road who charges you $200 an hour, he's sadly kind of going the way of the radio repairman, in that it's just not really, useful that often anymore. We've seen a big change in the industry, and that is that technology is now becoming so consumerized. What that means is that you can go ahead to Xero.com and punch in your credit card and sign up for a trial account and then start using the software straight away. And it's all self-manageable. You don't need to call the IT guy and have him come and help you set that up. And so business owners are wanting that experience, not just in their financial software, but in their email and file storage and all the other apps that you use to get your work done. And so Google has a suite of applications, which is called Google Apps for Work. And that includes Gmail, Google Drive, Google Docs, Google Calendar, Google Hangouts as well. And that allows you to send and receive emails, store your files and access them from any device. It allows you to communicate, just like Skype, with either video chat or instant messaging, and then keep connected with your team by collaborating on documents in real time. But you get to use your own domain name. That's the for work part, is rather than peter.moriarty_sexyhoney69@gmail.com, you've actually got your business address in there. So that change in that suite of applications is very inexpensive. It's $5 a month per person for the whole business. And once you implement it, because it's all self-manageable, if you're currently paying $300, $400, $500, $800 a month on IT support for someone to manage and maintain your IT infrastructure, well, those bills can be thrown out the window because Google's self-manageable. You get free support with Google, or there's obviously support from us as well. So we're seeing two kind of reactions from the industry. One reaction is, customers are absolutely loving it, and they're going, "Wow, why is nobody talking about this?" And that's a result of the first reaction, which is the IT consultants aren't really talking about it because it's not in their interest to sell something that's going to put them out of a job.
Absolutely. I've heard
crazy.
I've heard from IT consultants that Google's great for students and for maybe very small businesses, but businesses the size of mine, where I've got 12 people, I need to have the robustness of the Microsoft suite of productivity tools, and I certainly need to have emails hosted on my own server for both my own security and also so that I can look professional in the business world. What would you say to those people?
Oh, great question. So you've raised a couple of things there. There's the question of security. Is Google safe? There's the question of, well, is Google serious enough for real businesses? And then there's also the question of, well, am I ready to change as well? So it's kind of three things there. I'll cover them off one by one. First up, the trust thing. Google is suitable for large businesses as much as it is for small businesses as well. Some massive brands like Woolworths trust Google with all of their data and for all of their employees. Woolworths actually moved 35,000 employees to Google Apps platform. So they ditched Office, they ditched Outlook, they ditched the whole Microsoft world and went all in on Google. And not only the 35,000 Office employees now use Google Apps, but also their whole store staff as well. So 300,000 employees in total across Australia all using Google Apps. So that was obviously a massive win, massive company putting their trust in Google, but all kinds of businesses. Kogan uses it, Virgin Airways, progressive kind of sexy businesses that you would expect to. But then there's the more traditional, perhaps more conservative businesses like News Corp and Fairfax. You've then even got Fortescue Metals Group, massive mining company, who are running Google Apps as well. So all of these organizations, you've got to stop and think, well, if they decided to make the switch over to Google for all of their emails, then surely I can trust it with my small business. And so they're kind of big wins there. Next up, let's talk about the security, and how Google actually protects your data. It's a little bit of a fallacy that your data sitting on a server ticking away under a desk in your office is somehow safer than data sitting in a secured location on the cloud. And I know that's a scary thought for some people, but the reality is that we've been in business for about 8-9 years now, running this IT consultancy. For the most part, the businesses that we've seen that run that internal infrastructure, the server password is sticky taped to the top of the server, or it's the business owner's dog's name and then #123 or something like that. They're not the best on security, right? And even your staff machines, to log into those, the password's on a sticky note on their monitor.
It's underneath the computer keyboard.
Underneath the keyboard.
Not mine, but my staff. I know
exactly. That. So the idea that, well, this is somehow safer because it's sitting in my office. Well, what if the office burns down? Or what if someone breaks in and steals the server and they disappear? Your business stops then. If that happens, your business literally stops. Whereas with something like Google, they've obviously got all of the best security researchers in the world working for them. All of your data is stored in an encrypted form in their data centers, which means that not Google, not hackers, not anyone else except for you can access what's actually inside that data. So everyone else, encryption makes it just look scrambled. And so you can even set up simple security features like two-factor authentication for free on your Google Apps account. And so two-factor authentication is like when you get a business account with the bank, you go to do a transaction and they'll send you a text message and ask you to enter a 6-digit code, complete that step. Well, Google will do the same thing. When you sign into a new device with your Google account, it will prompt you to either get a text message or a 6-digit code on a little app, a little Google app on your phone, and without that code, you can't get into your account. So even if somehow somebody managed to pick up your username and your password to your Google account, then then nobody's going to be able to get access to that. You've got all this security with Google. They're not going to be able to see your data. Really, having it in Google is actually the safest place that it can be, because I'm a serial destroyer of machines. I've spilled a glass of wine on my laptop. I've left one in a car and it got stolen from the passenger seat. I've left my laptop in Sydney and flew to Adelaide for a presentation and then didn't have my laptop with me. The beauty about Google is that and any cloud application for that note, is you go to your browser, you sign in, and then bang, you've got all of your data there, and specifically all of your business data, so you can actually get your work done. So that's 2 points covered off. The final one is the change management, and that is, are you ready for something new? Are you ready to change? For a lot of people, they've got a very strong relationship with Microsoft Outlook and the Microsoft suite of applications, because you may have been using it for 10 or 15 years. And thankfully, there's one application that's really, really led the way with cloud computing and a different way of working for small businesses, and that's Xero.com. If you think back 3, 4, 5 years ago, Xero was this new thing, and it was really scary to everyone because everyone was stuck with their MYOB, and oh my God, there's no way I'll ever change. You know, the bookkeepers didn't want to change, the accountants didn't want to change, and there's still people out there who are still holding on to kind of the old way of doing things, and that's, you know what, that's totally okay. But what Xero really led the path with is, hey, well, when you work in the browser, well, there's a whole heap of new ways of working that you might not even know are possible with working in the cloud. So, for example, automatically importing your bank data feeds, connecting to other CRM systems and invoicing systems and time billing systems, and having that data shared between your Xero file and another external system. That philosophy of a application being online, giving you the same experience on any device, but also being open to third-party integrations, is something that's built into the DNA of Google. So, for example, right inside my Gmail, I can add third-party plugins and apps that enhance the functionality of the emails that I'm doing. I can put a link on my website which automatically lets people book in for an appointment or a consultation, and that appointment automatically goes straight into my Google Calendar because there's a link from my website to my calendar now. So I want you to challenge the idea, you know, to the listener. I want you to challenge the idea and really have a think about, well, you know, am I just stuck in my ways? Is that the reason why I'm reluctant to move? Am I just scared of something new? You know, if anyone's made the switch from MYOB to Xero, you'll know that, yeah, it was hard at the time, but after a couple of weeks and after some hand-holding, well, you got to know the new system, and then you were able to excel, and you probably can't live without it now. And that's what every single one of our clients tell us when they move over to Google. You know, like we've moved over 350 Australian businesses and beyond as well, beyond Australia. Yeah, you're one of them, which is awesome. And a big part of what we do is that training and that hand-holding, is making sure that you and your team know the very basics, but also, you know, we want to show you some ninja tricks as well. So when you're adopting this new piece of technology, you're going to be excited about it, and your team's going to be excited about it.
Because ultimately...
So I've covered a lot there, Scott. Have you got questions? Go for it.
Ultimately, I mean, I guess technology really helps us, needs to assist us in doing what we do on a day-to-day basis. We shouldn't be building our systems and processes around what the IT does. It should be there to facilitate, I strongly believe.
Absolutely.
And I really believe that Google has done that. The Google for Work has enabled us to do business in the way we want to do it, but also do it in a much better and more effective way. So, and you know, even little things, if I can just say, one of the big reluctance that I hear from people is, you know, we use Excel spreadsheets. So we couldn't possibly use Google Sheets because they're not as sophisticated as Excel spreadsheets. And I believe the answer to that is, yeah, they are. They're not as sophisticated as Excel spreadsheets. But there's very, very few people that are using Excel spreadsheets now because you don't need to. There's so many different applications for things to their full extent. So Google Sheets, we haven't found one application where we haven't been able to use Google Docs or Google Sheets in just as professional a manner as the Microsoft equivalent Microsoft products. So.
Yeah, look, it's a very fair point there that Google Docs and Google Spreadsheets are a more primitive version of what you may be used to with Word or Excel. That's absolutely a fair point. Although there's a couple of points to counteract that, and that is, number one, Google's focus is on collaboration. The ability for anyone to work on a document and see exactly the same version of the document at the same time, no matter what location you're in. So, you know, whether you're sharing a project plan with a supplier or a vendor or a customer, or maybe you're working on a proposal and you want to get 2 or 3 of your team members working on it together, you don't have a linear way of working anymore where you work on a document, hit save, put it in a folder, and then next stuff opens it, does it a little bit, and then hits save, puts it back in the folder. We've got a synergistic way of working together. Everyone can work together, and it's super, super radically collaborative. And we really love that. The other thing is, well, with Google, you get the best of both worlds. If you really, really need that Excel sheet that has your special macro that you need to use for your financial modeling or for whatever it is, well, you can still use that file and just plonk it straight into Google Drive like a Dropbox. You're not forced to convert it. So Google really gives you the best of both worlds. You can keep using Microsoft Office for the documents that you really want to use them for, but then just use Google Drive like a Dropbox, just dump them in there, and they'll at least be saved online and shared with your team members, even if you can't collaborate on them.
True or false? SharePoint is suitable for small business.
Oh, that's a good one. SharePoint is a great collaborative wiki-style app. Like everything Microsoft, it's targeted at a consultant, a Microsoft certified consultant, to help you to implement it. And with SharePoint, unfortunately, it typically means you're spending $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to get that happening.
So
now,
no.
well, look, there's an argument that if the value that you receive exceeds the cost of the implementation, then yes, it's worth doing. That's a very good argument. But an even better argument is, well, Google's free and you can do it yourself. So, it's really hard to beat free or nearly free. Google Apps is $5 a month for each person. Then, that's nearly free. It's very, very hard to beat that. Remember that Woolworths use Google Sites, which is Google's answer to SharePoint, across their 300,000 employees for all of their training and their store management and all that good stuff. So if a company like that can use it and trust it and build that out internally without throwing hundreds of thousands of dollars at a SharePoint consultant, then owner is probably going to want to choose the Google option because it's simpler. It's a bit like going from a PC across to a Mac. If anyone's ever done that before, there's less buttons, there's less things to press. You don't have all the bells and whistles that you may be used to. You don't have the ability to customize as much as you used to, but it works, and you've got at least enough to get what you need to get done. And Google's the same. And so if technology feels like a scary black box to you right now that you're just kind of lobbing money at, lobbing piles of cash, and beside the black box you've got a little cash bonfire going where you're just burning it as anything goes wrong with the little box, then Google is simple. But it's something that you can feel like you actually have control of. And that's a big part of what we want to do. We want to help business owners to, number one, raise their level of competency with technology in general, and so they feel in control of their business, so they understand it. But number two, so business owners can actually move their business forward with conviction and the direction that, hey, I know how this technology works. I know how I can leverage this for my business, and it's not something that I'm scared of, but it's something that I know can enable me to build a better business. And you said, you're absolutely spot on when you said that you shouldn't mold your business around a piece of technology. You should be finding a piece of technology that is going to be an enabler for you that can mold around your business and around the business processes that you want.
Absolutely. Just one thing I really wanted to ask you about is hardware. So how significant is, we all have Hewlett-Packard desktop machines and big things that we bought 4 or 5 years ago. How important is our selection of the actual hardware to run the sort of things that we need for a successful Google implementation?
Good question. Overall, the selection of hardware is becoming less important on an individual level. Whether your staff want to use a Mac or a PC, or Google have these new sexy devices called Chromebooks, which run a Chrome operating system, which is basically, you open it up and you get a web browser and that's it. There's no antivirus, there's no operating system, it's just a Chrome browser. Yeah. These options are now a little bit less relevant. To do everything online, you're using less and less of your local processing power on your computer. So when you're using Gmail online, Google's doing all the heavy processing. And that's why, in Outlook, after you get a couple of years worth of email in there, the search stops working, or it starts running slow, or it starts crashing. Whereas in Gmail, I can search for an email from 2011 and boom, it's instantly going to bring that email up for me because Google's supercomputers are doing all the hard work. So with cloud in general, yes, you want to have, I guess, a decent amount of RAM in the machine. So we like to recommend a minimum of 4 or 8 gig worth of RAM, just to throw some numbers out there. So we've got enough processing power to have heaps and heaps of tabs open in something like Google Chrome, because that's probably where you're going to be doing most of your work. But apart from that, it doesn't really matter what operating system, Mac or PC, or what you're using. However, what does matter and what does become more important is connectivity. So do you have a decent internet connection coming into your office? Do you have decent, a decent router? And I don't mean a $150 D-Link router from Dick Smith, or not Dick Smith anymore, maybe Harvey Norman. Yep. But what I do mean is, you might need to invest $1,000 or $1,500 on a decent enterprise-grade router from Cisco or Meraki or one of the other top-tier vendors. Because that internet link becomes very, very important for you and your team to be able to get work done. Although you've got the ability to fall back on your personal hotspots on your mobile devices, and so if you're out of the office or maybe there's an issue with internet connection at the office, well, either have a backup internet connection coming into the office, you might choose to invest in that, or you say, right, we've got an internet problem, guys, everyone just tether to their mobile and move forward from there. So that becomes more important than the individual device that you're working on.
Beautiful. Peter, I know in your in the initial intro I did, it said you work with companies up to 200. Is there a sweet spot for IT Genius in the sort of clients that you're looking to help? And
look, we consider ourselves small business rock stars. So a typical business that we support and work with has 30 employees or less. They're the guys that we work with day in, day out. And we put about 350 odd businesses onto Google Apps in the last couple of years. We implemented 130 implementations last year, which was totally crazy. We were one of. We just love helping small business owners get onto Google and get out of whatever IT mess they're in right now. My dad's a carpenter builder. He's run his own business for 25 years. He's a baby boomer. And when he went to school, he had a bit of slate and kind of chalk, that was, they didn't have laptops in the classrooms or iPads or any of that other fancy kind of stuff. And our mission is really to help, we understand this generation that if you didn't necessarily grow up with technology, you're not going to be naturally adept with it as the kind of Gen X and Gen Y generations are. And that's why very specifically we really care about the small business owners who are running small businesses in Australia and beyond, who have teams, who have staff, who just want a bit of extra freedom in their life. And freedom might mean an extra couple of dollars in the bank at the end of the year to improve your net profit by reducing your IT expenses. Freedom might mean you can work from anywhere and therefore you get to travel a little bit more. Freedom might mean doing the kid run and picking up the kids from school and then being able to do a bit of work in the afternoon without having to deal with a crappy VPN or remote desktop dial-in. So whatever that idea of freedom is to a small business owner, that's the person that we want to serve with helping them get set up on Google.
That's beautiful. Peter, it's been an absolute pleasure talking with you today. We've got a lot of great advice and I'm sure all of us are a little bit more familiar now with Google and its possibilities. If people do want to see themselves as someone who wants to be helped by IT Genius, what's the best way that they can go about contacting you?
Yeah, look, the number one thing is I want you to go and ask questions of who you're getting advice from right now. The whole world is not about a Microsoft versus Google world. We're very firmly in the Google camp. We wear the Google underpants, and that's obvious, right? But what my advice for anybody listening is ask questions and educate yourself. Ask questions of who's giving you advice, and specifically, start to think about, well, who's, with the advice that you've been given, who is benefiting the most from that? Is that you, or is that the person who's trying to sell you their particular solution? Google's not talked about very much in the IT industry because it's so disruptive. We like to think of ourselves as the Uber of IT, which is, pretty exciting. Like, we get to radically disrupt what's the kind of status quo of technology, and specifically for small business IT. So first step is to go and educate yourself. Now, we've got heaps of ways that we can help you do that. You can go to our YouTube channel, so just search IT Genius on YouTube and you'll find us there with all our branding and everything else. Heaps of videos there on small business, cloud, on cloud applications, all, not just Google, but all kinds of different ways that you can increase your productivity using cloud apps. And also head along to our website. So we've got an ebook there with our top 12 cloud apps that will help you to boost your productivity, save heaps of time in your business. And then we've got videos there on telling you all about what is Google Apps, why is it amazing for small businesses, pricing on how you can get started with us. We help you to implement it. We help you to move all your data over to Google. We help train your team and kind of make that all happen with a concierge service. So go check us out. That's itgenius.com. And if you go to itgenius.com/Google, that'll take you straight to a video on all about Google Apps and why it's great for small business.
And I'll put those details just below the video for everyone to follow up, and nice clickable links, because that's how we like to roll at Small Business Heroes.
Make it easy.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're all about. Peter, thank you so much for joining us today on Small Business Heroes. You got the details from Peter. I'm Scott Treverthen, the host of Small Business Heroes. If you'd like to join our Facebook group, please feel free to run along to the Facebook page, Small Business Heroes, and join up on that. So we'll be posting these interviews. If you'd like to find a little bit more about what we're doing at Scott Partners, you can go to our Facebook page, which is just Scott Partners, and or go to our website, which is www.scottpartners.com.au. I'm Scott Treverthen for Small Business Heroes. Thanks very much, and we'll see you soon.